Hey guys, welcome to the Field of 68 YouTube channel. If you like what you see here, hit that subscribe button and you'll get more college basketball content just like this.
Well, I'm going to tell you this right now. All right. So I know this is a tall task, and I could, if I had to predict, I would pick the home team on Saturday. But Houston is at Baylor on Saturday,
hmm
and Houston is a tougher team than Baylor. There's nobody tougher than Houston. But going on the road, Baylor's scoring ability with Jacoby Walter, with Ray J. Dennis, also Baylor trying to bounce back. They had a tough performance at BYU. I would expect that Baylor wins the game. But if Houston wins this game, our next podcast is going to be an ode to Houston at some point in that show, because I'm going to make this argument, and I know that this might get met with some adverse reactions. But if you took Houston out and you made them the name Kansas, would we be talking differently about said team? They're 23-3.
I
And they're
so
in the Big 12. They're
I
in the Big 12. I feel like we have some American symptoms.
no, it's not for me. It's not personally. I just think it's the way that they play that is a little bit of a concern to me in the sense that I'm still not 100%. And look, again, I make this qualifier every single time we have this conversation, right? Houston is a top 5 team. Everybody acknowledges they're a top 5 team. We're talking about it and picking it as a top 5 team, whether or not when they're in the final four, can they win a national title, right? And my concern is that when you build everything around being an elite defense, an elite offensive rebounding team, and elite at turning the ball over, that when you face off with someone that has great guards, that has really, really good bigs, that doesn't turn the ball over, that can win with an elite offense, I think at the end of the day, elite offense is always going to end up eventually beating elite defense. And I don't know if I would bet on them to have the ceiling to be able to win 4 straight after the first weekend. I think there's a less than zero chance that Houston gets picked off in the first weekend. I just cannot see them losing in the first round. They are too big, too physical, too tough. They will eat up smaller teams. And then whoever they get in that 8-9 game, I don't see them getting picked off there. You need to be great. You need to have great guards and great bigs to be able to handle them. And I think that once you get to that second weekend, right, you're probably playing 4 straight games against top 15 teams. And I think that when compared with UConn and Purdue, and I would probably put Arizona in that conversation, I would maybe put a couple of SEC teams there. I think I have Houston a little bit lower than other people do when it comes to being able to the likelihood of them winning 4 straight against very, very good teams, because I think eventually there's going to be a night where great offense just beats that great defense. I can see them get to a Final Four. I just think it's very difficult for them to win 4 straight games against very, very good competition.
Well, if you look at their last few years, like who they lost to in the tournament, Miami last year, which was Isaiah Wong and Nigel Pack. That's a great point. The year before it was Villanova, who I can't remember who was on that team, but it was that was with Gillespie and a healthy Justin Moore. The year before that, it was it was Baylor and that
Final Four against Baylor,
and that all-time great Baylor team with those all-time great guards. Like there's credence there. It's just it has to be that right matchup. If there's good individual play and guys who can score in isolation, I think that's kind of your potion to this Houston defense. Now they have to be elite offensively, and I would say Isaiah Wong was elite. You see, how big the drop off has been for Miami. I mean, Miami's not very good this year.
Yeah, Jordan Miller too. Put him in that conversation as well.
Yeah, and like that's the whole thing. Like if you have elite guard play who can score on their own, you can beat Houston, because Houston will just shut down everything you run. So there's a lot to be said there.
Yep. Fanta, outside of the top 2, give me a team that's a little bit off the radar right now that we aren't talking about enough that you think can make a run. And while he does that, T.O., you think of one, I'll give one as well.
Yeah, I think right now, outside of the top 2, it's got to be Duke. I mean, it's got to be Duke. I think, like, I would listen to your argument about maybe an Iowa State, who I don't think has gotten enough credit nationally for the kind of team that they are.
Yeah.
But the reason why I say Duke, guys, is because I think we're seeing the pieces and parts fully come into fruition of the team that we thought they would be in the preseason.
Mm-hmm.
But what Jared McCain has grown into is really impressive. We asked in the preseason perimeter shot making and rim protection with Duke. And what they've done here the last couple of games, John Shire's made some offensive adjustments. They've become a better offensive team. And I just look at the win over Miami. They have 4 guys hit multiple three-pointers in that win. With Jeremy Roach now just finding his groove and having a really nice performance. And if you look at Roach here over the last couple of weeks, he's got 4 straight performances in double figures. He's averaging around 15 per game. He's playing his game. And Terrence calls him a guy that late in the game can get it done. We've already seen him do it in the NCAA tournament. You can kick it to McCain for a shot. Mark Mitchell's giving them he's had a good year, guys. Mark Mitchell's a physical player. I know we're worried about the rim protection, and I get that. But I can live with it based on the way they're scoring from the perimeter now.
Yeah. Kudos to that. I'm not mad at that. I want to give Iowa State their flowers because they caught the bad end of one of my tweets about a month ago where I was talking about the non-conference schedule, and that's all true. But I never said Iowa State was bad, so I want to be clear there. Was it Taman Lipsey is really good, and Keyshawn Gilbert's been an underrated pickup nationally from UNLV. The guy's really good. But if I had to pick one, Iowa State could be in the mix. If I had to pick one, guys, I got to go home. I got to go home to East Tennessee. Because I really do think this is the year that Barnes breaks through and makes a Final Four.
That's exactly who I was going to say, T.O.
I really do. I think, the crazy part is last year they make it to the Sweet 16 and they lose to a Florida Atlantic team that just hit their stride at the perfect time. This year they have the same team that made a Sweet 16 and they added the most elite offensive weapon in college basketball in Dalton Knecht.
Yeah.
So now they have some scoring because Knecht is as good as what he is. It's the same team. They're still the same size. They're still the physical pieces, and they don't have to worry about 2 flagrant fouls coming from Euros Plavsic this year that will just decimate you at the most critical part of the game. So I understand that he's a fan favorite there in Knoxville, or he was. It's good that Plavsic is gone because he hurt you more than he helped you a lot of games. So having Dalton Knecht on that roster completely changes the dynamic of Tennessee because they can still grind you down on defense, but at the same time, they have an offensive weapon with supreme scoring ability. And a guy, quite frankly, guys, we're talking about where he'd land in the draft, late lottery. Why late? Why late? That guy, he does everything. He can shoot it. He can drive it. He can finish above the rim. Is he a great defender? No, but they got 4 other great defenders on the floor for Tennessee that it's crazy how good this Tennessee team is when Dalton Knecht can go for 35 or 40 on a given night. So I would pick Tennessee.
Well, what it reminds me of, and I don't know if this is a crazy take. It reminds me a little bit of the UConn team from 2011, where they kind of had one dude that could take games over, and then everybody else around him was good enough defensively where you knew that you were going to get held to probably in the high 60s, low 70s, right? They were good enough on the defensive end where on the nights when they needed him to, Kemba Walker would go out there, get you 30, and they could win a game. And I feel like that is what Dalton Knecht is for this Tennessee team. And I mean, you're 100% right, T.O. What they've been missing in recent seasons is just a guy that can be an absolute game changer on the offensive end. They didn't have that last year, and they were trying to win games 55-50. That's a tough needle to thread. Same thing the year before that. I mean, they had Grant Williams and Admiral Schofield. Like it was fun teams, but those guys were more products of the system as opposed to just being someone where, I mean, go watch, like when games get close for Tennessee, they don't run offense anymore. No. Connect gets a rebound, dribbles it up, figures out whoever he wants to have the switch with, calls that guy out for a ball screen, and they just play 2-on-2 basketball, right?
It's better than those stagger sets they were running for Vescovi, who's slow.
Yeah.
So at the end of games last year, they couldn't get anything good towards the rim. Like he would get blocked because he's so slow. And now he's far and away the second or third option, far and away. And it's a good thing for Tennessee because now he's a floor spacer and setup guy as opposed to being the main cog. And I think that's where he fits best.
Thank you for watching the Field of 68. If you've enjoyed what you've seen here, hit that like button, share this link with your friends, or check out the description for some other places that you can consume Field of 68 content.